When retiring to Thailand, there is an expectation of what your lifestyle will be like out here on the amount of money that you're bringing out here. And I think you need to be very aware that, everyone's living on different amounts of money in Thailand. If you come out with, let's say, 40,000 baht per month, your lifestyle is going to be massively different than someone who's coming out over here on 80,000 baht per month. You have to kind of change your expectations of what you can get for the amount of money that you're bringing over to Thailand. And I think some people come over here with the expectation that you can have an amazing lifestyle out here on 40,000 baht per month. And I think that's just not true anymore. Yeah, yes, you could live out here on this much money. Do people live out here on this much money? Absolutely. But they also probably sometimes have problems with money out here as well. I know from personal experience, when I first came to Thailand, yeah, it is a long time ago, but I lived on next to nothing, to be honest with you, when I first came out here. I lived on about 25,000 to 30,000 baht per month. This is like nearly 15 years ago now. And was it a struggle? Absolutely. And I was working full time. Could I have holidays back home? No, hardly ever. I literally have to save the whole year so I could have one holiday back home. Maybe I took a couple of vacations throughout the year. Was money a problem at all times? Yes, I was constantly thinking about it. I'd never had enough. It was a nightmare, to be honest. I lived in a very small one-bedroom apartment in the outskirts of Bangkok, not even, in Bangkok. It was completely the outskirts where it's very, very cheap. I ate mall food all the time, food at the mall, which is, mall food is okay, but, sometimes you want to eat some different types of food, and I wasn't able to. And it was okay when I first came over here to live, it was fine for me. But this is what you need to kind of expect. You expect it just either lower your expectations. If you come in here with a lower amount of money, just realize that, things aren't as cheap as people say sometimes online. So, if you want to really luxurious life out in Thailand and, eat Western food all the time, you're traveling all the time, travel back home, you're going to need a lot more money to do this. So just, adapt your expectations of what you expect when you come to Thailand. And I think that'll stand you in good stead. Everyone in Thailand has this perception, especially when living abroad and coming here for a holiday, that Thailand is super cheap. And yes, it is absolutely a cheap place to come compared to America, Australia, the UK, Canada, for example. But still, things cost money. Nothing's free over here, as you can imagine. But some people actually think, you can have this amazing lifestyle over here on, a little bit of money in Thailand. It's just not true. Now, how can you help yourself and get more for your money? You can certainly pick locations where it's cheaper. Where I lived when I first came to Thailand, the outskirts of Bangkok was actually very, very cheap and quite a cool area to live, Nonthaburi, which is right on the outskirts of Bangkok, about an hour to get into the centre. That's a very, very cheap area. A lot of people choose to go out, and live in the sticks out in the middle of nowhere, and that's fine, and it suits a lot of people. And you can obviously save yourself a lot of money by living somewhere like this, for sure. But you got to ask yourself the question, do you want a lifestyle like this? If you're a single guy on your own, I would say probably not. I think most of the guys that go out and live there and brag they're living on 30,000 baht a month, they are normally already with a Thai girl. They're living in a family home already paid for. They're getting cooked by kunyai, which is grandma at home, and they're just living the kind of rural life, which is not for everybody. Some people it suits down to the ground, but a lot of people, I think you spend a few months there and you would go stir crazy. I've done it myself. I've spent a couple of weeks there and I nearly went stir crazy. It is quite a different lifestyle out when you live out in the sticks. And some of these guys and girls that go out and live in the sticks, yeah, it's okay for maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, even longer sometimes. But there'll be a time where suddenly they're struggling for money sometimes, because of things that crop up. And this happens in Thailand when you're living here a long time. You know, things do happen where you have to suddenly, you know, fly home to your own country, or especially if you've got kids out here. You know, a lot of guys get married out here and then start a family out here later in life, exactly like I've done. And you think, as a single guy, maybe if you come in here, you might think, oh, I never do that. But, you know, you could easily meet a young partner or a younger partner, not young partner, a younger partner. I'm talking about, you know, if you're 50, meeting someone who's over 30, and you can still have kids. And that's exactly what happened to me when I met my missus. You can suddenly get extra expenses you never thought you were going to have. You know, you thought this maybe 50,000 wasn't enough, but then you end up getting married, you have a family out here, and then suddenly, oh, this is maybe not enough money. So everyone is in different situations. You have to look at your own situation and think, you know, how much realistically do I need to live over here? You know, I just don't want to see people coming over to Thailand and, you know, not having enough money over here. It's a sad sight, and I've seen it a few times where guys have had to go back home because they haven't got enough money. They're not budgeted properly, or they've gone to an area and got involved in things that and a lifestyle that they just can't afford to keep up. Yeah, if you've got 100,000 baht coming in every month, you can have an amazing lifestyle all the time, and it's continuously coming in. You're probably never going to run out of money, to be honest with you, if you got that much money. But if you're on 40, 50,000 and, you know, you're living quite a high-so lifestyle and you're eating Western food, you're going out partying a lot, and that money can soon go, I can assure you. That is not a lot of money if you live in that kind of Western kind of party lifestyle in Pattaya, in Hua Hin, in any of them big places. So just be aware of that. And especially I mean, a lot of my viewers, I know, love Hua Hin, Pattaya, Bangkok, and they love all the big areas, and they're thinking about retiring in one of these places, you know, where there are a lot of Western comforts. And this is good and bad. You know, when you've got a lot of Western facilities and Western comforts and Western gyms and all these facilities you want to use, they're not free. You know, all these things cost a lot more money than, you know, let's say Thai food. Western food generally costs a lot more money than Thai food. You know, a Western style gym, like I said on another video, you know, is not cheap in Thailand at all. And, you know, a lot of people want to come to Thailand to use gyms, to use sauna, steam room, to, you know, do things, activities, and eat Western food and eat Thai food, eat a mixture. And this kind of thing costs a lot more money. So it's something to be aware of. Yes, it's ace living in these places like Hua Hin and Pattaya. There's loads of things going on there. There's loads of facilities. There's better food there, or not better food, just more Western choice than, let's say, in some other areas around Thailand. Oh, sorry to disturb the video, guys. Can you just press the subscribe button? It really helps the channel. Thanks. And back to the video. And another really important thing is to consider, you know, you're going to be having hopefully a pension coming in every month. You know, let's say 50, 60, 70,000 baht or whatever it is coming in every month. I think it's really important, as we were talking before, you know, to have some kind of emergency fund that, you know, if something goes wrong, which it usually does, this is life. Nothing goes 100% right all the time. Something always comes up where, you know, you need some extra money for something. So have this emergency kind of fund as a safety kind of backup. I mean, you should have this wherever you live in life. I mean, whether you come to Thailand or not, even in America, Australia, wherever you are, you know, everyone should have some kind of backup fund, an emergency fund for emergency situations, guys. Because sometimes, you know, that pension you've got coming in every month is not going to be enough. Yes, maybe for 12 months it's fine, and then something will happen. Or maybe for 3 years it's fine, and then something big will happen, and you'll suddenly have to find $5,000 out of the blue. And you're like, shit, I haven't got this kind of money. You know, so always good to have some kind of backup fund, guys. I have seen guys, you know, run out of money completely in Thailand, and it's a sad old sight. And it's normally a kind of a gradual process, you know. They'll be living on, you know, a really limited amount of money, and I'll think to myself, oh, they're struggling a bit, and they'll say to you they're struggling a bit with the money, and then, you know, it goes down, and usually, you know, they are already involved with a Thai girl as well, and maybe they have a relationship that's not the best relationship in the world. I'll say no more. And, you know, things happen, and, you know, they kind of go down, 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 and then usually they end up turning to drink, like a lot of people do, and then they end up drinking themselves too much, you know, and then not getting themselves out of the problem and just getting worse and worse. And then the relationship breaks down because of money problems. Like a lot of relationships break up because of money problems. And then, you know, they end up really in desperate situation, you know, trying to borrow money off friends. And, you know, it's just a spiraling event. And then, you know, they end up having to get a flight home back to the UK and go groveling trying to find work. And it's an absolute nightmare. If you've been away from your own country for a long period of time and then trying to go back and get work, if you're really desperate and you haven't really got family support, it's very, very difficult. And some guys, you know, try and stay over here even though they've got no money to support themselves, and they end up blooming begging off people nearly. And you see some of these people who've lost their way in life a little bit, you know, in some of the tourist areas, you know, asking for money or trying to scam and stuff. So yeah, it's a sad sight, but it does happen to a few foreigners. Hopefully not too many, but it does happen to some people over here. So it's something to just think about when you come over here. You know, make sure you have that kind of emergency fund, and you've got a way of supporting yourself living over here permanently as a retiree, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take it easy.